stopped 3 feet from gold. Darby profited by the experience in, in, his, in his chosen work by the simple method of saying no to himself. I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. Darby is one of the small group of fewer than 50 men who sell more than $1 million in life insurance annually. He owes his stickability to the lessons he learned from his quitability in the gold mining business. Before success came in any man's life, he is sure to meet with such temporary defeat and perhaps some failure. When defeat overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is to quit. That is exactly what the majority of men do. More than 500 of the most successful men in this country has ever produced, told the author. Their greatest success came just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them. Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one with success, almost within reach. A 50-cent lesson in persistence. Shortly after Mr. Darby received his degree from the University of Hard Knocks and had decided to profit by his experience in the gold mining business, he had the good fortune to be presented on an occasion that proved to him no does not necessarily mean no. One afternoon, he was helping his uncle grind wheat in an old fashioned mill. The uncle operated a large farm on which a number of colored sharecrop farmers lived. Quietly, the door was open, and a small colored child, the daughter of a tenant, walked in and took her place near the door. The uncle looked up and saw the child and barked at her roughly. "What do you want?" Meekly the child replied, My mammy says send her 50 cents." "I'll not do it," the uncle retorted. "Now you run on home." "Yes, sir," the child replied, but she did not move. The uncle went ahead with his work, so busily engaged that he did not pay enough attention to the child to observe that she did not leave. When when he looked up and saw her still standing there, he yelled at her, "I told you to go on home. Now go or I'll take a switch to you." The little girl said, "Yes, sir," but she did not budge 1 inch. The uncle dropped a sack of grain he was about to pour into the meal hopper, picked up a barrel stave, and started toward the child with an expression on his face that indicated trouble. Darling Darby held his breath. He was certain he was about to witness a murder. He knew his uncle had a fierce temper. He knew that colored children were not supposed to defy white people in that part of the country. When the uncle reached the spot where the child was standing, she quickly stepped forward 1 step, looked into his eyes, and screamed at the top of her shrill voice, "My mammy got to have that 50 cents." The uncle stopped, looked at her for a minute, then slowly laid the barrel stave on the floor, put his hand in his pocket, took out $half and gave it to her. The child took the money and slowly backed toward the door, never taking her eye off the man whom she had just conquered. After she had gone, the uncle sat on a box and looked out the window into space for more than 10 minutes. He was pondering with awe over the whipping he had just taken. Mr. Darby was doing some thinking. That was the first time in his experience that he had seen a colored child deliberately master an adult white person. How did she do it? What happened to his uncle that caused him to lose his fierceness and become so docile as a lamb? What strange power did this child that made her master over her superior? These and other similar questions flashed into Darby's mind, but he did not find the answer until years later when he told this story. Strangely, the story of this unusual experience was told to the author in the old mill on the very spot where the uncle took his whipping. Strangely, too, I had devoted nearly a quarter of a century to the study of power, which enabled an arrogant, an ignorant, illiterate colored child to conquer an intelligent man. As we stood there in that musty old mill, Mr. Darby repeated the story of the usual conquest and finished by asking, "What can you make of it? What strange power did that child use that was so completely whipped my uncle?" The answer to his question will be found in the principle described in this book. The answer is full and complete. It contains details and instructions significant to enable enough to understand and apply the same force which the little child accidentally stumbled on. Keep your mind alert, and you will observe exactly what strange power came into the rescue of the child. You will catch a glimpse of this power in the next chapter. Somewhere in the book, you will find an idea that will quicken your receptive powers and place at your command, for your own benefit, this same irresistible power. The answer of this power into your mind in some subsequent chapter. It may come in the form of a single idea, or it may come in the nature of a plan or a purpose. Again, it may cause you to go back into your past experiences of failure or defeat and bring to the surface some lesson by which you can regain all that you lost through defeat. After I had described to Mr. Darby the power unwittingly used by the little colored child, he quickly retraced his 30 years of experience as a life insurance salesman and frankly acknowledged that his success in that field was due in no small degree to the lessons he had learned from the child. Mr. Darby pointed out every time a prospect tried to bow me out without buying, I saw that child standing there in the old mill, her big eyes glaring in the distance, and I said to myself, I've got to make this sale. The better portion of all sales I have made were made after people had said no. He recalled to his mistake in having stopped only 3 feet from gold, but he said that experience was a blessing in disguise. It taught me to keep on keeping on, no matter how hard the going may be. A lesson needed to learn where to learn before I could succeed in anything. This story of Mr. Darby and his uncle, the colored child and the gold mine, doubtlessly will be read by hundreds of men who make their living by selling insurance And to all these, the author wishes to offer the suggestion that Darby owes to these two experiences his ability to sell more than $1 million of life insurance every year. Life is strange and often imponderable. Both the success and the failures have their roots in simple experience. Mr. Darby's experience were commonplace and simple enough, yet they held the answer to his destiny in life. Therefore, they were as important to him as life itself. He profited by these two dramatic experiences because he analyzed them and found the lesson they taught. But what of the man who has neither the time nor the inclination to study failure in search of knowledge that may lead to success? Where and now is to learn the art of converting defeat into stepping stones to opportunity in answer to these questions. This book was written, the answers called for description of 13 principles, but remember, as you read, the answer you may be seeking to the questions have not been have to the questions which have caused you to ponder over the strangeness of life may be found in your own mind through some idea, plan, or purpose which may spring into your mind as you read. One sound idea is all that one needs to achieve success. The principle described in this book contains the best and the most principles of all that is known concerning ways and means of creating useful ideas. Before we go any further in our approach to the description of these principles, we believe you are entitled to receive this important suggestion. When riches begin to come, they come so quickly in such great abundance that one wonders where they have been hiding during all those lean years. This is an astonishing statement, and all of the more so when we take into consideration the popular beliefs that riches come only to those who work hard and long. When you begin to think and grow rich, you will observe that riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work. You and every other person ought to be interested in knowing how to acquire that state of mind which will attract riches. I spent 75 years in research analyzing more than 2,500 people because I wanted to know how wealthy men became that way. Without that research, this book could have been written. There, take notice of a very significant truth via the business this depression since started in 1929 and one and continued on to all-time record of destruction until something after President Roosevelt entered office. Then the depression began to fade into nothingness, just as an electrician in a theater raises the light, so gradually the darkness is transmuted into light. Before you realize it, so did the spell of fear in the minds of people gradually fade away and become faith. Observe very closely. As soon as you master the principles of this philosophy and begin to follow the instructions for applying these principles, your financial status will begin to improve, and everything you touch will begin to transmute itself into assets for your benefit. Impossible? Not at all. One of the main weaknesses of mankind is the average man's familiarity with the word impossibility. He knows all the rules in which will not work. He knows all the things that cannot be done. This book was written for those who seek the rules which have made the success and are willing to stake everything on those rules. A great many years ago, I purchased a fine dictionary. The first thing I did was to turn to the word impossibility and neatly chip it out of the book. That would not be one wise thing for you to do. Thank you for joining me for this book club reading of Think and Grow Rich. Join me for part 2.